That's all. That's totally fair. That's totally fair. So
And
they need to let's put a committee to it. Let's study it. Let's get it done.
I don't think it needs studying. It just get it done. I know it's in the grand scheme of things, does it produce more wins? No. Does it produce just a better view, not a viewing experience, but a better showcase of your athletic program? Yes. Yes, it does. And that was something I took away last night. For those wondering, saying, well, just put the students back behind the benches. Yeah, you can't do that. The SEC actually has a legitimate rule that behind the benches, you cannot have students. Is it a stupid rule? Is it a good rule? Probably a good rule. I don't know if you want some students who have been partying.
Yeah, minor takeaway. Somebody, the boom mic or something, because there was some dude who was getting a lot of vocal time.
Okay.
And he was you could just hear him talking the whole time. Ref, you need to review that. Ref, that's a bad call. It's like, hey, man, I don't know whether he was sneaking on the mic or they didn't mute the situation, but production, C- for yesterday.
Okay.
As I was listening to it.
Yeah. So, yeah, all the way around. But, yeah, those were our takeaways. Mine, as I put on Twitter last night, was, that's one thing. It's a minor thing, and again, it's not going to result in more wins. There's a whole lot of other things that South Carolina's got to do to win basketball games, and it's the where the cameras are irrelevant to Lamont Paris and winning games, but it is a showcase of your program when you get television time. Look, Preston, and we talked about this at Williams-Brice Stadium. Ray Tanner and his administration have done a phenomenal job creating an in-game experience, but it also comes across on television as a phenomenal in-game experience with the white towels, with the lights, with everything that they have when they show over the stadium views, and people have talked about that. Jeremiah Donati is going to have to figure out, him and his administration are going to have to look at this with the basketball arena and do a few things. Minor, irrelevant to 72-68 last night, but we did have our big takeaways from the game. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in this morning. Walt says, we're 0-11 in the SEC. Why not give Cam Scott more playing time? Cam Scott last night playing 5 minutes, 14 seconds, no shots attempted, 1 foul committed.
I would flip that assertion. They're 0-11 in the SEC. Why is Cam Scott still not getting playing time?
Okay. Very fair.
I would flip. So that's a fair question, but I would also ask it the other way. The team is 0-11. Why is he still not playing? And I think that you figure it out how you want to, but I think that's an interesting question.
803-404-6100 if you want to. The co-pilot says best part of the game was when the ref announced the technical foul and the crowd got upset. The reaction of the ref when the fans started to boo was hilarious. There's a lot going on last night. There's a lot going on. 803-404-6100 again. If you want to text in, we'll get into some of the game, let you hear from Lamont Paris himself. Post-game, you're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. Welcome in on your Thursday morning. It is the early game.
What'd you say? Hey, Columbia, are you looking for the best gear to tackle your lawn? Well, welcome to Cato's Power Equipment, your go-to spot for all types of power equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. Third-generation Ben Cato offers top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop's value that you love. Ben is determined to raise the standards of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, they proudly offer a big selection of new and pre-owned motors, tractors, mowers, tractors, and more. And ready to invest in something new? Well, their friendly team makes the process easy. They help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, and keep your gear running with expert service and repair for their parts. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today. We'll help you power up your next project. Call us at 803-254-3711. That's 803-254-3711.
Highway 602 at Emmanuel Church Road. We have an accident. Also, I-77 northbound at Forest Drive and Shop Road at Pineview. Also, a report of an accident. It's going to be messy this morning because we are expecting some rain and storms up till about lunchtime. Gusty winds at time, possible downpours. So just sloppy conditions until probably about 11 o'clock or so this morning. After that, we are looking for at least clearing conditions. 68 is expected to be our high. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and 55, so should be okay for first pitch tomorrow. And even on Saturday, a few showers in the morning, should be clearing, a high of 60 overall. Right now, though, some fog, some mist. It's 42 on the early game.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in this morning, whether you want to weigh in on, I don't want to say the irrelevant topic that I had, which was the camera angle of the arena. It is a topic for some discussion on some day, and it maybe not necessarily is the camera angle discussion. It might be more of renovations to the CLA. Preston, I'll ask you real quick, and then we'll jump into the game itself, though. Like, you went to pink at the CLA. Because this is one thing about it. It is not a basketball-only facility. The circus was there this past weekend. Really good, by the way. Not the same circus that I was used to growing up, but the circus still.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's not quite like I was accustomed to. Actually, way back in the day, they used to have the parade, which was always really cool when the circus would come to town with all the animals coming down. I believe it was Gervais Street, I believe.
They'd go down Assembly, I think, or
was
something.
It Assembly? Yeah, it was always really, I mean, I was young then, but we'd go check it out. But, yeah, different circus. But going back real quick, Pink, the venue was great? You would say venue was great?
I mean, I've never seen Pink anywhere else, but she had plenty of room to fly around and run up and down the stage. Seemed like it was work for her.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the other element of that venue. I've seen monster trucks in there, which it's not great for monster trucks because they can't get the speed they've got to get to. It's a little too small for them to be able to do some of the stuff. They still make it work, and it's still a lot of fun to watch, but it's not, from what I understand, not like if you go see them almost in like a football stadium environment. But we'll get to that discussion on another day. Let's discuss some of our fart analytics and South Carolina ending up in the same situation again. And let's start that by listening to Lamont Paris. This is after the game. You can hear the tone of voice. You can hear the tone of voice and take away from that. Here is Lamont Paris right after the game last night on ending up in the same situation again.
Find ourselves in a situation that unfortunately is a familiar situation, and that, you play a really good team. You play a pretty good game, at least anyway. And then, there's one or two things end up being your Achilles heel, and you end up not winning the game. So it's difficult. It's difficult to know what to say to the guys, to connect to them, because, it's frustrating for me, but more than frustration, I feel a sense of, empathy for them and what they're going through. And for young people, it's not that easy. Sometimes to bounce back and be as chipper as you need to in order to go out and win another game. They've done a great job of that, but just unfortunate. They made a couple of plays. We had a couple of plays that we did not make offensively, and then we had a couple of errors, offensive rebound late. I think at the free throw line, that one hurt us, and missed a bunch of free throws. So didn't turn the ball over this time. Other times that's been what's gotten us. So still just trying to get better and manage those last 3 or 4 minutes in a way that you can be in control of the game coming down the stretch.
I don't mean to laugh, but I'm laughing. You've been a coach. I've coached middle school basketball. I've coached AAU basketball. I don't, to my knowledge, I don't think you've ever had an aggravating season where after tough losses you have to go deal with the media.
No,
I didn't have to do that. So I can't imagine. I hear Lamont Paris's voice, and I can just feel his like. I had to go talk to the media now.
Yeah, you can hear it. He covered a lot of ground in that space, and I really enjoy listening to Lamont talk, even through all circumstances. He hit on a couple of things. So let's go to the numbers first. Let's go to the numbers with the fart analytics, right? He's right. Turnover battle, equal. Both of them had 9 turnovers. Significantly lower than we've seen throughout the years. So they made an improvement on that. Rebounds, we're going backwards. This is traff. This is not fart. This is
okay.
Traff. We're going backwards. All right. Rebounds. We won the rebounding battle by a significant amount, by 8 rebounds. Won the rebounding battle. Assists were about the same. They had 10, we had 8. But here's the bugaboo. Free throws.
Oh, yeah, that is bad.
Free throws. You have to get – this team – I keep stressing this, and you take it however you want. This team is not good. And so when you're not good, you can't give away points. You can't give away opportunities. That's the problem with the turnovers. They're giving away possessions. However, when you do get to the line and you have an opportunity to get free points and you don't convert, you miss 12 free throws, that's the difference in the game right there. And until they get those little things, which are actually big things, it might be difficult for them. You cannot win a game missing that many free throws.
I'm going to both play a little bit of devil's advocate and maybe side with the players, but at the same time be like, you got to still make them. The majority of your misses, the vast majority of your misses, came from your post players. In particular, Nick Pringle had 5, 4 of 9, and Benjamin Bosman-Verdonk, who we should give a shout-out, career high in SEC points last night. Bosman-Verdonk was playing with purpose. He was lowering the boom on players. Bosman-Verdonk last night filled up the stat sheet. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 2 fouls, an assist, a turnover, a block. He had maybe the play of the year, maybe the part that you threw your hands over your eyes, behind the back, pass in the lane. It worked. Wild situation.
You forgot my favorite Verdonk stat. Times on the floor. He gets on the ground. Sometimes he falls and sometimes he jumps, but he ends up on the ground frequently.
19 minutes, 29 seconds last night, 7 points. But back to that point, Nick Pringle. So 12 missed free throws, 5 from Nick Pringle, 3 from Benjamin Bosman-Verdonk. So you got those two guys really being the bulk of your missed free throws when you say, all right, there's 8 there. Murray Boyles missed 2. Jamari Thomas missed 1. Jacoby Wright missed 1. Marsh Ugasuk made both of his. So I both play devil's advocate of saying the two guys you probably don't want shooting free throws. Remember, did you ever have to do basketball and you'd line up on the baseline and the coach would go through each player and throw the ball to it and you have to come to the line, and if you shot, it was a down and back, and you always had 2 or 3 guys that as soon as they went there to shoot a free throw, basically you were already starting to run.
Go ahead and start running. As soon as the coach throws them the ball. And it depends on how you feel as a coach. You're like, I want these guys to run a little bit today. Let me give it to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I feel like Nick Pringle and Bosman-Verdonk are the two guys that if Lamont Paris has that little drill in his bag, as soon as he throws the ball to them, somebody just goes ahead and takes off. It's like, I'm just going to get this out of the way.
Yeah. Or if they do make it, everybody celebrates.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, he made it.
Didn't expect that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I to that analytic, I just say,
that's fair.
Should they make free throws? Yes. They're college players. Lamont Paris said that 2 years ago, I think, against Georgia. He's like, hey, you're in college. You should be able to do this.
The other part of what he said I think is interesting, and he put his finger on what I was trying to feel as I was watching the game, is that you do feel a sense of empathy for the players because they are still playing hard, because they are still connected, because they are still cheering on the bench. This team's 0-11. I've been ready to give them up since about 0-4, right? But you watch them, you see all those things happening, and I've switched to the point, like, I really want them to win now. Just win a game, just so they can feel some of that reward and feel some of that payoff for what they're still doing on the court. It hasn't happened yet. It's a cruel game, but they'll get it together.
803-404-6100 will continue on. It's the early game.
Preston here for Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with your insurance to take away the headache. They'll come out to wherever you are. It does not matter. School, home, work, CLA, does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out to you, take care of the job, and then take away the headache. Now, if you're at home and you're looking to increase the value of your home, you could do that with new windows and mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. They say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at absoluteglassinc.com. That's online at absoluteglassinc.com.
Highway 602 at Emmanuel Church Road, tie up there, as well as I-77 northbound at Forest Drive. And shop at Pineview, also a report of an accident. And we are looking for kind of just conditions really until later this morning. Rain and storms possible, some gusty winds, could be some heavy downpours. So, of course, standing water on the highways as well could be impacting your traffic or your flow today. Once all of this clears out, we're looking for a high today of 68. The overnight low is still going to be cold, though, 35 overnight. Tomorrow, 55 and sunny should be great for first pitch. Overnight low of 39, 60 with some showers in the morning, but by the time we get to 2 o'clock, should be cleared out. Right now, there's a little bit of mist, a little bit of light rain, 42 right now.
803-404-6100. More basketball tonight. A reminder right here on 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game, Myrtle Beach. We will hear from Lamont Paris, more from Lamont Paris. Poor guy, I feel for him. When you're Lamont doesn't go into every day like, oh, I got to figure out a new way to lose today. Like, he's a competitor. We learned that, Preston, firsthand. He was sitting in studio with us. You can feel the competitive nature that he has. But when you're 0-11 and you have to go speak to the media after games, and then they're like, hey, tomorrow night, we got Carolina Calls with Lamont Paris. He's like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun. But that's what they say on Mad Men. That's what the money's for. So you have to do that. That's what you have to step up to. But worse than speaking to the media, you got to go talk to your team again. And you got to go try and tell them, like, hey, guys, let's go back to practice and let's keep chipping away, or whatever boring cliche that nobody wants to hear after being 0-11. You got to do that again. So that's the real tough part.
See, I actually feel like that's the easier part because the players know. You're in that locker room. You're in that bubble, if you will, together. Fans, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but fans are just, they don't understand. Like, a perfect example, last night, end of the game situation. And let me see if we've got it here. I tell you what, let's play this. This is really good because this is a great breakdown. As I have not listened to this. I read what Lamont Paris said. And reading it, I knew exactly what he meant. As it's happening, as I'm watching the final few seconds, the final play there with Colin Murray Boyles going for the layup, and people are going, why are you shooting a 2 when you're down 3? And then listening to Lamont Paris's explanation, this is going to be number 4, Jen. Listening to Lamont Paris's explanation, I'm like, yeah, I totally get what he was thinking and what he was trying to accomplish. And I think the team understands that. It's fans that are like, yeah, that's dumb. You're dumb. Can you not add that a 2-point basket does not tie it when you're down 3? Let's listen to Lamont Paris. Again, this is number 4. I hope this is the right one. I don't know if it's 3 or 4, but I'm going to ballpark it as 4. This is Lamont Paris kind of explaining the options on the final play with Colin Murray Boyles.
So there were options in that play. It ended up being a screening situation for Colin. And if they don't handle that properly, he has options. First and foremost is to just go straight down to the rim and make it happen. But during that screening action, we moved Jamari over there intentionally so that if they both went to Colin, then plan B is then to reverse pivot and throw back to Jamari for a shot. Either way, we wanted a quick score. Either way, and if it was a 2, it was a 2. Certainly, if you attack aggressively, maybe you get an and 1. And if they don't handle it properly, you may just get a 3 out of it naturally. Whether it's thrown back to Jamari or if the whole weak side collapses, then maybe to the opposite side, which ultimately is where he kind of tried to back the ball over to that, but he just lost the ball at some point during his attack, and that was, kind of that for that play.
This would be the nerdy Revenge of the Nerds segment. I get what he's saying.
Reverse pivots, back the ball to the weak side, everything. I get it. In real time as I'm watching and being a fan, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? You're down 3. You don't do it. And then I read it post game and I'm like, all right, yeah, man, you attack. You heard him say, we wanted the quick basket. Because you get the quick basket, you extend the game, you foul. Now Mississippi's got to make free throws. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But you're still, even if if Colin Murray Boyles gets the quick basket, you're down 1. Even if Mississippi makes both free throws, you're coming back down still within range of tying the ball game. And as he says, if they play your best player, if they overplay your best player and they double, then you're reversing it. As he says, reverse pivot. Loved how he felt the need to tell us reverse pivot. Use that terminology. But I get it. You reverse it back out because they've doubled. You're creating a chaos situation on defense where the defense is having to scramble. Somebody's going to be open. He's hoping, and the situation is Jamari Thomas, to get the look to tie the game for 3. But I love the concept. I personally love the concept of going for 2.
fouling, putting pressure on Mississippi to make both free throws to extend the game. And that's why I say I think for players in the locker room, when you go and explain it, players go, yeah, okay, I know what we're trying to do, Coach. Fans, on the other hand, are watching it both on the floor and maybe on television going, like, what are you doing? I don't get it. You're down 3. You don't shoot a 2.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. But my not counter, but forget all the options. You're supposed to be a first-round dude. Get the ball and go score.
Right.
That's what a first-round player does. Forget all the options. We don't need to worry about all this stuff. When you have the dude who's supposed to be a guy, you go and get a bucket. And he failed to do that. And then on the defensive side, Zach is supposed to be a 3-and-D guy. That's where he's supposed to make his bread and butter. That's how he's going to progress. He gave up the winning bucket. Yep. And so when you have your two dudes who don't get it done, that is an issue. So, yes, I hear you drawing everything up, and this is sort of sometimes my issue with, and so whether that's execution, whether that's coaching or whatever, it doesn't matter. They did not get it done.
Well, and I guess my question is, because I would look at it, I think we might view this in different ways. These are the guys, but at some point you look at them like, you've got to get it done. I can only lead you to the water, then you got to drink it. But, and this is where this is difficult, when you've lost 11 games, and a lot of them by one-score games, a lot of people are going to say, that's on coaching.
I agree.
That's on
ultimately it always comes down to coaching because I am not a basketball guy. But Jamari Thomas is 3 for 13. I don't know if he's the best option on the options. I don't know. I'm not a basketball guy.
As a coach, you got your. I mean, I don't know of a better way to say it. You've got your guy, and you just believe, and you look at. And this is on Lamont Paris. You look at the ingredients that you've got to cook with. Well, you're the one that went to the store and picked out those ingredients.
Agreed.
Whether some of those ingredients that you wanted, I watched Amir Brickus last night for Villanova knock off our guy Slick Rick in St. John 73. They hit a three-pointer with 9 seconds to go. The name of the coach for Villanova all of a sudden is completely escaping me, but.
Jamel Holloway?
No.
Not Jamel Holloway.
No, okay, I don't want to go. I'll spend the next 2 minutes going, But St. John's hit a three-pointer. Excuse me, Villanova hit a three-pointer with 9 seconds. Do you go, that's great coaching, man? Or do you go, that guy made a play? Last night, you got your guys. Zach Davis has been here a while. You're right. He's got to get a stop.
You got to get a stop.
And look, the guy made a great. They're down 1. Mississippi's down 1. The guy makes a great play in the lane. And look, it wasn't like Zach Davis just got out of the way. It was like, sir, go dunk the ball. But Zach Davis, that's where you've got to kind of step in. Colin Murray-Boyles, you're supposed to be the guy. I'm with you on this. I'm not trying to, we go back. I go back to a key play in last year's, not this past year, but last year's football season, and it was in that North Carolina game very early on. South Carolina gets the onside kick. A great call by Pete Limbo and the coaches. South Carolina goes for it on 4th and 4, if you remember, the first possession of the second half against North Carolina up in Charlotte, and Amarion Brown drops the pass, and he's open. And if he catches it, he sprints down the sideline, and who knows, maybe South Carolina scores, maybe they don't, but the bottom line is a guy had to make a play, and he didn't. And we come back to this later on, but Lamont Paris's guys have got to make some plays down the stretch.
The only little piece of nuance is that Amarion Brown is a guy, CMB is the guy.
Good point. Yeah. 803-404-6100. We wrap up hour number 1 when we come back. Preston Thorne is out of here in just about 5 or 6 minutes. Off to where are you heading today?
Up the road, up 26, going to Spartanburg.
All right, Spartanburg. So he will be out for the next 2 hours. We got you covered. Justin Mackey will join us coming up at 7:30 this morning. We'll get his take. Justin also reffing a bunch of different lower-level leagues, Division One, and we're going to talk about that. One of the things I'm going to actually talk about, Preston, with Justin, is him reffing. I want to say he's got like the Atlantic Sun and the SoCon and everything. The guys that he gets to watch, that he might watch and be like, that's an SEC or ACC player that's playing at this level, because now with the transfer portal and you see taking guys from lower levels. I mean, you know, football, we've seen Demetrius Knight come in from Charlotte. Basketball, Jamari Thomas does come in from Norfolk State. But I'm going to ask Justin Mackey a little bit, when you talk about these transfer portals, guys he's seeing at that level that he probably can recognize because he's played SEC basketball, obviously, and be like, dude, that dude could play at the SEC or ACC level.
Yeah, if anything, the transfer portal, I hope, has shown fans that there are guys at every level that can play at any level. Now, the depth may be an issue, or they may not be everybody, but if you watch Jamari Thomas compete in the SEC, he can play in the SEC. There are other guys that were at lower levels that you may not think of as SEC players or high-level players, and there are players everywhere. We saw it in football, Torres Simpkins, and the note goes on and on and on. There are guys at every level who can compete at the highest levels.
So we will have that with him coming up at 7:30 this morning. 8 o'clock, Monty Lee joins us, and we'll get you ready for opening day with old Coach Lee. I'm interested to ask him a little bit. You've seen Ray Tanner. You've seen Mark Kingston. Nothing against Mark Kingston. How do you compare and contrast now what you've seen with Paul Maneri? And I might stick more with Ray Tanner, but kind of interesting, but we'll catch up with him later on. One of the things you wanted to bring up was how you go about kind of dealing with your team. What do you say to your team at this point? That's a long clip, so maybe I'll hold that, but get your thoughts on that from being a coach and then also being a player, because not to pick on you, you were part of two teams in 02 and 03 that were on the cusp of bowl eligibility, and yet it was long losing streaks at the end of the season that derailed you.
Yeah, and I can speak from my go back to the camp. I don't know if we were a locker room full of losers, but it was a locker room full of mediocres, and the coach's message was not getting through towards the end of the season. And I always stated that there's no such thing as a mediocre team, right? You if you have a talent enough to, and I think we've seen this with this team, they have talent enough to win this game. So what is the X factor? The coach's job is to get them over the hump, and they haven't been able to do that this year. So I know we can, yes, there's talent deficiencies, talent gaps, whatever you want to say, but they have proven that they are good enough to compete in the SEC. To me, the coach's job is to get them over the hump. And when you don't get them over the hump, it's hard to come back into the locker room and give the same speech or tell them to keep pounding or whatever the team motto is, because it's like, man, it's not working. And so this is where you earn your keep as a coach. Yes, it's fun to win, but this is where you really earn your keep as a coach.
And the next part of this, Preston, is they have to look at the schedule. Saturday, 8:30, another late tip-off, and I'm not sure why, but SEC Network, we'll have it for you right here at 8 o'clock with the pregame and 8:30 with the tip-off. But you got to go to number 3, Florida. Florida's just rolling right now. Steamrolled Auburn last Saturday on the Plains, took down Mississippi State this week, and Florida now being projected by a lot of the bracketologies as a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, ranked number 3 in the country. So I don't know how that is for a coach. Like, hey, we got to go to Florida. Or, hey, we got to go to Florida. This is exciting. We can take down a top 5 team, top 3 team in their own building.
Yeah, I think you could just say, hey, listen, we competed with everybody in this conference. No, we shouldn't be scared of anybody. We don't need to have reverence to anybody. We can win these games. We just have to do X, Y, and Z.
803-404-6100. Let's welcome Barry into the program real quick. Barry, you got about a minute real quick. What's your thought this morning?
In 1 minute, huh?
Yeah.
In 1 minute. All right, you got W's for wins, right? And you got L's for losses. Is there a G up there for grit? You get any points for grit? Is there an E up there for effort? Is there no? You don't get nothing for effort. When you shoot a lot more foul shots than the other team, and you make like 7 or 8 more foul shots than the other team, but you miss a dozen, I don't want to hear nothing. These guys get paid now. They're professionals, okay? You got Cam Thomas, who's a freshman, #1 player in the state of South Carolina, okay? NIL, I hope he got that exactly. Nil NIL, okay? Because that's what this money is doing. Same thing with the transfer portal. Preston, I remember you saying you loved player movement. You wanted player movement. I don't think you wanted player movement to the extent we have it right now, okay? But this team, Lamont, it's on Lamont, okay? You got CMB, and what that comes down to, can't make baskets when it counts, okay? If you can't, your guy can't do it. Your main guy, a #1 draft pick, if you can't give him the rock.
Barry, that was good. You could have gotten it all in without the beginning. Cam Scott was the name you were looking for with the freshman.
Appreciate you, Barry.
Several accidents to make you aware of. Highway 1 at North Grampian Hills Road. Highway 602 at Emmanuel Church. I-20 eastbound there at exit 39. And I-20 westbound at exit 101 right there, Ballantyne. I-77 northbound and southbound. Northbound at Forest Drive. I-77 southbound at Percival Road. 277 northbound at I-20 and Shop Road at Pineview. So several incidences, most likely due to the weather. And we have some standing water on the roads. We have some patchy dense fog. We're expecting some storms this morning. Could be some heavy rain and could be some gusty winds. And again, could just be kind of a sloppy mess. It'll clear out. We're looking for a high today of 68.
$7 a.m. as we roll along. Preston Thorne off to Spartanburg. So we'll get you through the rest of the program. Again, a reminder coming up this morning, 7:30. So in about 30 minutes from now, Justin Mackey will join us. And we'll continue talking a little bit about this basketball team. It's conversation shifting a little bit. And we'll play some more audio for you coming up here with Lamont Paris as to what you say to your team at this point. 11 straight losses in SEC play. They fall to now 10-14. My biggest thing has been to say that this team the overall record does not need to be a losing record. That is a huge backslide from last year, but unfortunately right now 7 games left. Obviously, at this point, you would need to go, what is that? What is quick math? 6-1, is that right? To get 16-15? Yeah, 6-1 to be 16-15 before you go to SEC play. And so, for Lamont Paris, you have to, and we saw this with Frank Martin, you had to build off of the success of last year, the excitement, the energy, the passion that was shown, the excitement that was around the town. It's not going to happen, and now you've got to find a way to some shape or form, salvage it. And I tell you what, Jen, let's go ahead and hear it, because this is something Preston Thorne wanted to get to. We just didn't have quite enough time. But this is Lamont Paris last night talking after the game. What do you say to your team at this point of the season?
It's uncharted territory for me also. Particularly to have a team, I say this to our guys, I think they know this. I say this to our guys that, this stinks for me between now and I'll watch the game tonight, I'll watch it again in the morning, make the edits, and then at some point move forward to start preparing for the next game. And once I do that, I start watching the other team. I look at us, I look at what we do, I look at what they do well, and I come into practice ripping and roaring and very confident in our ability to win the game based on what my eyes see, nothing else. That continues to be what I do. Not so that I can get through this, because that's genuine belief in what our ability to win a game looks like each time. But yeah, so I keep making the golf analogy, and 18 holes in a golf round and 18 games in the conference, and we had a good drive. We put the ball in the fairway. We were green in regulation after our second shot. I had a long putt for birdie. Lagged it to 4 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet maybe, and weren't able to come through at a par. So it's I actually use that analogy with them. I'm sure some guys probably don't understand most of that, but I use enough of them that probably they do. But anyway, I feel for them. I let them know that, I'm in this with them, but I have less impact on how it goes. than what they do.
So that is what Lamont saying last night, Coach Paris, post game. And I know as a coach for him, you start with him as a coach, especially coming off of the level of success that was had last year. And not only the level of success, but the level of success in close games last year. And sometimes that, you think about it from that standpoint of, boy, we've got this thing figured out. Look at what we did last year in tight games. Now, different ingredients, if you will, different players, Talon Cooper, Michie Johnson, B.J. Mack. But obviously it's not been replicated this year. But as a coach, you think you can replicate it. And right now I think what Coach Paris is learning is you don't have the players that can replicate that. You don't have the B.J. Mack. Kyler Murray-Boyles has not stepped into that role. Jamari Thomas is simply not Talon Cooper. South Carolina doesn't have the attitude or swagger on their roster of a Michie Johnson, and that is certainly hurting them. 803-404-6100. Let's get back to the phone lines. George wants to weigh in this morning. George, how you doing? What's on your mind this morning?
I'm doing all right. I want to weigh in, what's never, because I sit here. I don't watch the game, but I sit here and I listen at it on the radio, and I really wanted to talk to you while Preston was there, but he didn't go on the Spartanburg. And I want to say I may try to get on Backstreet thing on tomorrow, but I just wanted to say that what the coach was Paris, Coach Paris, he need to fire those guys that he got for assistant or whatever, because it just making them guys look bad when it comes to free throw throwing. It's a technique to free throwing, and I know the technique, but I don't want to interfere in Lamont situation or whatever. But those guys, they missing too many free throws. And then those guys were supposed to be his assistant. He needs to get rid of them if they don't know nothing about how to teach the guys how to shoot free throws. I think we're losing more games by missing free throws when we need them. Someone said last night that we need free throws at the beginning of the game, and we hit one and then miss one. You need both of them free throws at the beginning of the game, and then see where it's going to come out on the end of the game or whatsoever. You might be able to miss one or two on the end of the game, but you need them at the beginning of the game.
All right. Thank you for the phone call, George. Yeah. Again, last night we mentioned it as part of our analytics. South Carolina shoots 20 of 32 from the foul line. And I'm doing both. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I'm making excuses while also saying that what George said, you got to make them. But 8 of those missed free throws come from guys that, unfortunately, you don't want shooting free throws. Now, that's an excuse. That is an excuse. Oh, well, I'm not laying the blame on Nick Pringle for going 4 of 9 from the line. I'm not laying the blame on Benjamin Bosman-Verdonk for going 3 of 6 from the line. Again, you missed 12 free throws. 8 of them come from those two guys in particular. But at the same time, you got to be honest, and this is kind of, I think, what George is saying. It doesn't matter. You're playing in college. You've got to make those free throws. You have to be able to make those free throws. Nick Pringle, Benjamin Bosman-Verdonk, I know you're not the best shooters in the world, but you've got to make your free throw. I'm with George on that, while also at the same time saying, I don't want to blame the entire team when 8 missed free throws come from 2 guys in particular. But thank you for the phone call, George. And I think what you're saying, there's a lot of truth to that. By the way, last night, Colin Murray-Boyles, 20 points, put in a great effort. 35 minutes of action, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 fouls, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 3 blocks, 1 steal. He was doing so much last night, but it's not enough. Jamari Thomas, efficiency is not going to be part of his game, and maybe we should have brought this up much earlier in the season, because people say, well, boy, if Jamari Thomas had just been there in that game or this game when he suffered that knee sprain. South Carolina wins that game. I don't know if that's true. Jamari Thomas, again, last night, 3 of 13 shooting. South Carolina's 22 of 50 for the entire game. But Jamari Thomas, just 3 of 13 shooting, 2 of 5 from three-point range, 11 points from him. And that's another aspect, and it's not free throw related. Jamari Thomas, by the way, 3 of 4 from the foul line. It's not free throw related, but when you've got a guy who shoots it consistently the way Jamari Thomas does, where you're seeing guys like this, that's not out of character, unfortunately, right now for Jamari Thomas to have a game where he misses 10 shots and he's only taken 13 shots. You look at the last few games for him with his shooting and what he's been doing, and it's quite simply just not been efficient. The last 3 games, Jamari Thomas has been 4 of 13, 3 of 12, and 3 of 13. That right there is 10 of 38. 10 of 38 shooting. And I also, by the way, for the record, just to put this out there as well, he's made 6 three-pointers in the last 3 games. He's attempted 19, 6 of 19 from three-point range the last 3 games as well, below 33%. You got to be more efficient with that when you're taking that number of shots. 803-404-6100. Let's go back to the phone lines. Ray wants to weigh in this morning. Ray, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, doing good, people, doing good. Yeah, man, I'll tell you, and this, I tell you, Bill, what you said a couple of weeks ago, how, even then we're losing all these close games. But I kind of agree with you. Losing close games still means you're not a good team. And I think that's what the deal is with this team. But what is just utterly amazing is how terrible we are in the final 2 minutes of these games. I mean, we had a 1-point lead with the ball. Okay, we go down, don't get a good shot. They get it. They do a switch off, set a little screen, but not much of one. And their 6'10" guy is wide open for 3. I mean, at this point, it's almost like a long free throw. We don't get on the guy quick enough. And I'm like, if you don't get on that guy, there's a good chance he's going to make that shot. And look what happened. But, man, the final 2 minutes of these games, and that's where these games are won and lost a lot of times. But our execution in the final 2 minutes is just dismal. And I tell you, Coach Parrish, he has got to get him a point guard. I mean, he's got to get somebody that, I don't know, 7 to 9 to 10 points a game, 4 to 5 assists, no turnovers. Somebody who can manage the situation, because we just don't have a manager out there right now. And I know it's got to be Killed and Kerry Rich, but anyhow, that's just what I want to say. But our final 2 minutes is just – I don't know if you could draw up any worse than we play in the final 2 minutes in these close games. But, hey, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate
the phone call, Ray. Yeah, look, you're right, and that's the other thing. Execution down the stretch has not been what you would like it to be. As a matter of fact, Jen, I'll tell you what, let's do this. I think we can get this in here. Let's play this. Lamont Paris last night talking about the execution in the final minutes. It's clip number 3. Here is Lamont Paris talking about that.
Well, no, there's nothing that I sense that way. I did when we came out of the timeout at like 3:37. I don't know that was the exact time, but it might have been the exact time on the clock. I did specifically address decisions that we needed to make from here on out. That this is the whole other rest of the game, 36 minutes and 23 seconds or whatever it ended up being. It was irrelevant. It's about the decisions from here to the end of the game. So, but other than that, I don't sense anything from the guys. You're trying to eliminate any factors where a snafu could happen. Plays that involve a dribble handoff. They've been real aggressive on the dribble handoffs. I don't want to do that. They do something weird and the dribble handoff doesn't work. Now where are you at? Plays that involve, so all these things you're doing to eliminate or mitigate chances of something happening that makes the play do something different than what we had talked about in the timeout, particularly out of the timeout. that's really all it comes down to. So then there's only one thing: performance. That's it. You just have to perform. Guys got in the spots we talked about. Everyone's where they need to be. You just have to perform. And I thought we did that. Excuse me. Got a little cough, but I thought we did that. And then we, a couple of times we didn't make plays.
Well, let's certainly hope we get the cough fixed there. That seems like the easiest thing to get fixed. But yeah, a lot to happen as I get a text message from Justin Mackey that we're gonna have to scratch Justin Mackey this morning as he's got a family situation going on. So live radio at its absolute finest there. As
hope all is okay for him. We look forward to getting him back on.
We will definitely get him on, and we will adjust accordingly. Though that's what we do here. Get a little bit more into this and a couple other things going on. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne off to Spartanburg. He'll be back tomorrow. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Mid-State Roofing has been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry, and it is that proven history that is your assurance that they will get the job done in a proper way with incredible advice. They'll give you the service and results that you need. And as I look outside here at 7:15 on this morning, on a rainy morning, if you have found a leak because of the rain, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, because with that history, you know they're going to fix that leak. They're going to get you taken care of. They're going to put you in a maintenance contract. And even better, at 7:15 here on a Thursday morning, if you call Mid-State Roofing, they're there to help you, because 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you with a maintenance contract. Whether it's an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee, they will answer your call. 803-356-1919. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
Wow. A few things to quickly let you know about. Highway 1 at Columbia Avenue. There's an accident in Lexington, and we are looking at a power outage and probably due to maybe an accident. Basically, if you're on Columbia Avenue from Lizard's Thicket all the way down to about where the old middle school was, there's an area that has a power outage. So traffic lights all along there are most likely out at this point. So be careful going through. Hopefully not, but just be aware that could be the case. We know for sure traffic lights malfunctioning. Highway 1 at Columbia Avenue and Highway 1 at Lake Drive. So also I-20 eastbound before 178, that would be exit 39, 277 northbound at I-20. A lot of rain this morning. Do be careful.
Jen and I working hard in here. Jen handling traffic reports, stuff happening all over town. Again, Jen, for those
What a mess.
What is going on, Remind? Just tell people again, for people that didn't catch that traffic report, there's a situation in Lexington with a power outage.
Yeah, it looks like really, if you Columbia Avenue, whatever the road's called in that particular stretch, but from that Lizard's Thicket over there, kind of by the Leisure Center and all that, there is a power outage. So the traffic lights basically from there at least to past where the old middle school is. So it looks as though probably the traffic lights all in that stretch past all the restaurants and stuff most likely are out at this point. So I would avoid traversing that area for just a little bit until they can get all that back going. Besides all the other sloppy conditions out there.
Yeah, and here we sit at 721, and as I look out here, we're down at 1301 Gervais Street in the middle of Columbia. It looks dark. It's just not a good morning, so be safe.
No, kind of a little bit of foggy out there, a little bit of mist. It's just ick.
We have pivoted. We have done a good job. We have reverse pivoted, as Coach Parrish likes to say. Justin Mackey having a situation this morning, was not able to join us, but coming up in about 8 minutes, we'll be joined by Aaron Lucas, good friend of the program, and we'll get his take on this. Preston and I and Jim, we can sit here and talk about it till we're blue in the face. Get another opinion, an outsider's opinion, someone who played college basketball, and what they are seeing with the struggles coming down the stretch of closing and then trying to be part of trying to stay engaged, I guess, if you will. But we'll catch up with Aaron Lucas coming up here in about 8 minutes now, as we'll get his thoughts and opinions. We'll get Justin Mackey back on at a later point, but Aaron Lucas will join us here coming up in just a few minutes, and let him weigh in. Former point guard. He's also a guy that went through a tough stretch his freshman season. Coach Lucas did, now leading the Lower Richland girls team and doing very well with them. But we'll get his opinion on what he's seeing and discuss that. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in if you want to. Some college football news, and I want to get more into this tomorrow with Preston, because I feel like it's going to draw some really an interesting reaction from him. Ohio State is set to hire ex-NFL coach Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator. Patricia, obviously a very interesting character to begin with. If we just take out coaching and everything else, Patricia, a very, very interesting guy to begin with. But the move will bring Patricia with the corresponding internal promotion of secondary coach Tim Walton for Ohio State to the co-defensive coordinator role. So they're going to have co-defensive coordinators. That, number one, always works out exceptionally well. But you get Patricia coming in, who I wanted to mention the news because you've seen Ohio State now lose both offensive and defensive coordinators. Chip Kelly going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator, having a bit of a falling out, if you've read lately, with Ryan Day, or having a falling out during the middle of the season, getting through the season, winning the national championship. But Jim Knowles leaving to go to Penn State. So this causing a shakeup on the Ohio State staff after winning a national championship. But now they look toward Matt Patricia coming in. Again, he was the defense coordinator for 2 of New England's Super Bowl wins and was on staff as an offensive assistant. The guy's been all over the place, but offensive assistant for the Patriots in 2004. He also spent 3 seasons as the head coach of the Detroit Lions. He was 13, 29, and 1 there in 3 seasons. And if you've listened to a lot of people up there in Detroit and who talked to Dan Campbell, Patricia was the one that had set them so far behind the bar, if you will, that Dan Campbell had a lot of cleaning up to do, not just with roster management, but with culture there. So we'll see what happens. But Matt Patricia stepping in over at Ohio State. Now he is slated to be hired as co-defensive coordinator along with Tim Walton, who was the second, or is, I guess I should say, the secondary coach. So they will have co-defensive coordinator roles. But I'll be interested tomorrow when Preston's back in for a little bit to hear his take on Matt Patricia going to work with Ryan Day and what he brings to that stuff. It did, I guess, technically work bringing Chip Kelly in, and I thought that would be a really wild situation there at Ohio State, but it worked. We'll see if Matt Patricia works out for them as well for the defensive side of things. Real quick, some Gamecock look-arounds. Obviously, tonight, women's basketball, they will travel to Florida. The big one comes on Sunday, 1 o'clock over at Colonial Life Arena as they get set to play Connecticut. But again, it's kind of like, all right, you got to get through this one tonight to get set for that monster showdown with Connecticut. 1 o'clock here at Colonial Life Arena tonight. South Carolina, again, taking on Florida. That one actually, by the way, here at Colonial Life Arena. We got pregame at 6:30, tip-off at 7 o'clock for you on that. By the way, also a reminder, 6 o'clock tonight on 107.5 The Game. Listen to me here for those of you wanting to tune in. 6 o'clock tonight, Carolina calls with Lamont Paris. 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.3 The Game. The women's team playing Florida tonight here at Colonial Life Arena. 6:30 on 98.5 WOMG. 98.5 WOMG, our sister station. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip-off. Also want to give a shout-out to the Carolina softball team. Jen, I'm thinking today will not be the day they get in their 6th game of the season. They're 5-0 on the season. They're scheduled to play in the Carolina Classic this weekend over at Beckham Field. Right now, at least as far as we are doing this broadcast, game scheduled for 6 o'clock. It has not been postponed, but they're set to play Georgia State later on today in the Carolina Classic. They just got done playing in the Gamecock Invitational. Now they'll play in the Carolina Classic. Georgia State today and tomorrow. Today, 6 p.m.
And is that, did you say that's here or is it in Georgia?
Here. It's here at Beckham Field. So 6 o'clock today.
Yeah, it looks like it should be okay. They need to dry it out, but it looks like all this rain activity should be out of here by about lunchtime.
Okay. And then
Hopeful. Sorry.
Hopeful. Yep. Good. And then tomorrow, 3:30 as part of the Carolina Classic. So
I'm excited about this softball team. This has been fun.
When you bring an alumnus back in like they bring with Ashley Chastain Woodard, I think we are all respectful of what the SEC is. We talk about how great the basketball is. We're looking at how great the baseball is. SEC softball might actually be head and shoulders above every other sport in the SEC, but she's got her work cut out for her. But as you just mentioned, kind of like the Paul Maneri era, beginning tomorrow, there is a sense of excitement, a breath of fresh air for the softball team. And again, if you want to go out and catch them today, Jen saying it does look like it'll clear up by 6 o'clock. Georgia State over at Beckham Field. Go check them out. Support them. Give them a little bit of love tomorrow, 3:30. But I know a lot of the focus tomorrow will be on Paul Maneri's opening day, and we'll talk more about that coming up in about 30 minutes with assistant coach Monty Lee when he joins us. But up next, former Gamecock point guard Aaron Lucas. I said it. I don't know if he's listening or I don't know if he was saying the same thing I was, but he sent me a text. He says, I have some expertise with what's going on from his freshman year. We'll get his take on South Carolina basketball when we return. Aaron Lucas, former Gamecock point guard, set to join us. You're listening to The Early Game. Bill Gunner for Old Timey Meat Market. All right, weekend's about here. Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Guys, Valentine's Day, women, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Your significant other deserves a great meal. And with Valentine's Day, you can go to Old Timey Meat Market in one of their 3 locations, South Congaree, St. Andrews Road in Irma, or the Lexington store, and pick up a heart-shaped ribeye. You heard that right. Nothing screams Valentine's Day more than a heart-shaped ribeye. But at Old Timey Meat Market, they don't just have great ribeyes. They have great pork chops, great chicken, great seafood. They've got great stuff in their freezers, whether it's vegetables, soup, biscuits, even pieces of pie or cake. Go visit Old Timey Meat Market in one of their 3 locations and find out for yourself. Trust me when I say this, I am there each and every week. The kids love it. It is a phenomenal place, and I love the way I'm treated. So go visit the South Congaree location, St. Andrews Road in Irmo, or the Lexington store, and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Several incidences out there this morning. Shop Road at Pineview, 277 northbound at I-20 and at Fontaine Road, I-77 southbound at Percival, I-26 westbound at exit 101, Malfunction Junction at I-26 eastbound has an incident, I-20 eastbound before exit 39, Highway 1 at North Grampian Hills Road, and stop-and-go traffic on I-26 eastbound between the Ballantyne exit and I-20. And we have several traffic lights out in Lexington, essentially there on Columbia Avenue from Lizards Thicket in that vicinity to about past the old middle school. So traffic lights out in those areas, or at least malfunctioning. So lots of messes. Should get this rain out of here by noon.
$7:35 here on your Thursday morning, and we got a lot going on over the next hour and a half of the show. Joined momentarily by former Gamecock point guard Aaron Lucas as we look for an outside voice to weigh in on 0-11 right now and what he is seeing. Coming up in about 25 minutes, we'll be joined by Gamecock assistant baseball coach Monty Lee and get his take. One thing I'm interested in here, similarities between working with Ray Tanner and working alongside Paul Maneri and what he's got. And then coming up at 8:30, about an hour from now, our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge begins year number 7 with Josh Harris joining us to preview Daytona this coming weekend. But right now we welcome in former Gamecock point guard, current Lower Richland women's coach, Aaron Lucas. And Coach Lucas, well, number one, how's your season going so far?
Going pretty good so far. We just wrapped up the region. Our current status is we're 22-1. So we're having a pretty good season so far.
All right, 22-1. A lot of success. Yeah. Unfortunately, on the opposite end of what's going on over at Colonial Life Arena. Let's talk about that for a few minutes with you. Appreciate you on short notice joining us this morning, but You and I joked. I said it on air. I don't know if you were listening and you agreed with me, but you were in something similar to this your freshman season. And unfortunately, that season was coming off of back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. A great run by Eddie Fogler, B.J. Mackey, Melvin Watson, Larry Davis, all those guys being involved some way, shape, or form. And you had a guy, I guess, very similar, I'm going to let you kind of explain it. In B.J. Mackey, similar to Colin Murray Boyles, drawing a lot of love, being a local guy. How did you personally handle that season with everything going on?
I really didn't process a lot of it until after the season was over and what, that meant for BJ and really that senior class who have won a lot of basketball games. And that really motivated me to work a little bit harder and trying to get better so that the experience for, my career and my teammates' career was going to be a lot better than that particular season. But, BJ handled it like a leader should. With all the challenges going really from being the best team in the conference to the worst team or one of the worst teams in the conference. And he handled it better than I certainly probably could have. But, it's one of those unfortunate moments in Carolina basketball. And it seems like I have the expertise on it for moments like this. I think we talked about it during the Darren Horn time as well. So, but, it happens. It helps build character. It helps give an opportunity for growth. So that's really how I had to look at it at that time.
Take us inside the locker room, if you will, and joined this morning by Aaron Lucas, former Gamecock point guard, current Lower Richland women's head coach over there. 22-1. We should keep mentioning that for you. Great accomplishment. But take us inside the locker room. Take us inside the mentality, the mindset of these young players as they're having, because you play a game. It's not like football where you get the whole week off to kind of, as you said, digest what's happening. You're playing a game. They played last night, Wednesday night. All right, you practice today. You travel tomorrow to Gainesville to take on Florida. The turnaround is so quick. What's it like for these guys right now trying to get this win, you think?
Well, on the plus side is that you don't have a lot of time to process and, over-process what's going on and, the mistakes or the different things that cause you to be on the losing end. You really don't have a lot of time. You go into each game, each preparation with the mindset that this will be the game that gets this turned around. And our season was very similar. We were in a lot of close games that particular year. We couldn't close games out. And so you go into each game trying to fix those small mistakes or those small things that turn into big things. And, each day you work towards that. Does it get a little, daunting and frustrating? Absolutely. But you don't have a lot of time to think about the previous game. The only thing you can really worry about is the next game should be the game to get our season turned around.
What have you seen as a coach from this team? I know you've got your own responsibility, so I don't know how much you've been able to really watch this year, but what have you seen from this team that just gives them troubles in the final 4 minutes, in that final 4-minute stretch of ball games?
Well, I try to watch as many games as I can, and from what I've seen, it's really just figuring out how to get baskets when you need them. I think defensively they do a lot of great things, but at times offensively it doesn't feel like we know who's in control of the offense. We know we want to get the ball to Colin Murray at some point in time to give him an opportunity to get the offense to execute, but at times it just seems scattered and everybody kind of takes their time to try to make something happen when, you know who the clear leader is, and it's more of a role thing at that point. But I don't see a lot of times in crunch time who's the closer. Like last night with Ole Miss, Dia was the closer for Ole Miss. Like you knew they were going to him. He was going to get the ball and try to make a play, and everybody else was going to play off of that. I think on the other side to that, I don't necessarily see consistently that we have a crunch time player, or that it's obvious who the crunch time player is, and then everybody plays around that. So that's just my observation from some of the games, a lot of the close games that I've seen throughout the year.
Aaron Lucas joining us this morning, the current head coach of the number 2 ranked 4A girls there with Lower Richland. Give us a little bit of insight, in your opinion, into Cam Scott. Local guy, season not going maybe as he had planned. A lot of success, much like you at the high school level, without knowing maybe what's going on. Give us your thought process, or how it would be going, and what you think kind of Cam is dealing with right now.
Well, it's a huge adjustment, and I certainly know firsthand what Cam is going through. It's a huge adjustment going from being the primary scorer, the primary guy on your team, to having to fit your talent in with a bunch of other really, really talented players. I think a lot of it goes back to the high school preparation. Our high school system was based a lot on what South Carolina was running at the time. So systematically, I knew what the plays were. I knew the defensive strategies. So I knew that part, but the adjustment to the speed of the game, the size, a lot of that was, something that was a challenge for me. I think for Cam in this particular sense, because South Carolina plays so much man-to-man, and from my recollection watching him a little bit his senior year, he played a lot of zone, a lot of 1-3-1 zone. So those man-to-man concepts and principles I think he struggled with early on in the year. But, he's a freshman. All freshmen kind of go through those ups and downs of figuring out where they fit. And I think over time he'll learn, he'll watch film, he'll study, he'll realize, the importance of the weight room, the importance of conditioning, the importance of spending the extra time outside of practice to hone in and master your craft. So, his future is still bright. I don't think this is a point where we have to start making judgment on, his trajectory. Kind of like Austin Conyers just had to sit and wait and kind of learn and grow. The SEC is one of the toughest conferences, if not the toughest conference in the country, and that was the same when I played as well. So it's a huge adjustment, but, with time and experience, and obviously with the coaching staff, Cam will certainly turn into the player I think a lot of us hope he will be.
Coach, I appreciate it. I know I came to you last minute. We'll definitely look forward to having you back in studio here in the coming weeks. I know you got to wrap up your season, and you're doing this all while trying to navigate this weather out there, so I appreciate you jumping on last second to join us this morning.
Well, I appreciate the time, and y'all root for us. We got playoffs starting on Tuesday the 18th, and we're looking to make a run in the playoffs this year. So I appreciate y'all. Go Gamecocks, go Diamonds.
Take care. Thank you. Coach Aaron Lucas there again. Hey, Coach, the number 2 rated Lower Richland Diamonds in 4A basketball. We'll come back and wrap up our number 2 next. Well, that was a fun, entertaining hour. glad that one's wrapping up. Thank you again to Aaron Lucas for joining us there, kind of on short notice. Definitely look forward to getting him back in studio. We'll talk a little bit more about Aaron Lucas and his team tomorrow with Chris Deering when he joins us. As if you heard me mention there, Coach Lucas's team, the women's team over there at Lower Richland, ranked as the number 2 team in the 4A state, or the 4A girls here. So congratulations to them. Coming up here in about 10 minutes, we're going to be joined by Monty Lee, South Carolina assistant baseball coach. And one of the things I'll get with him is comparing and contrasting a little bit. Ray Tanner, whom he coached for when he was here at the University of South Carolina, and also Paul Maneri. They seem like guys cut from the same cloth, and I'll be interested to hear a guy that has worked under both, not only their on-field demeanor, but how they are off the field, how they are kind of just around the coaches, not even around the players, but just around the coaches, and how that sets us up for this season. We'll also get into a little bit more with Paul Maneri there, or with Monty Lee on Paul Maneri, but also on the team itself coming up here in about 10 minutes. Reminder, this coming tomorrow, South Carolina opens baseball. You know that, but how about this? Did you know that the Schroeder's Towing Roadshow will be live from Village Idiot on Whaley Street? That's right, from 12 to 3:45 tomorrow. You can hang out with Terry, Tyler. I'm sure Jack will be there. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell. Everybody will be hanging out over with our good buddy Brian Glenn at the Village Idiot on Whaley Street. It'll be the Schroeder's Towing Road Show, again, live at Village Idiot tomorrow. Go visit them. 12 p.m. to 3:45. You can get one of those asparagus pizzas. Bacon, asparagus. Sounds.
I have to try it.
I'm with you on
again,
that.
I'm thinking it's a case of I like asparagus. I don't know if I want it on there. Everything else on that pie sounds absolutely amazing. So I'll try it. And if the asparagus doesn't float my boat, I'll just take it off and still eat the pie.
There you go. So, yeah, so go by and visit with them, hang out, and enjoy some great food from Village Idiot. Hang out with our 107.5, the game crowd, and we'll have a really good time over there. Also, on Saturday, we're going to have, I say we, like I'm a part of the program, but there will be a special presentation for Ray Tanner. Really cool event honoring the field, naming the field after him. This is Paul Maneri earlier this week on the postgame show talking about Ray Tanner being honored on Saturday afternoon at the game.
Listen, Ray is number one. Ray deserves this honor. It's going to be his day. I think it's so wonderful. I tell people that Ray's greatest fault that I know of Ray is that he's way too humble. I mean, he does not like the attention on him. He doesn't like the praise and all that stuff. He's just a very humble guy, and did his job, but he did it so well. And I keep telling him, Ray, let people honor you. You know, just accept it. You know, you've impacted a lot of lives in your time, and people want to honor you, and you need to let them do that. And I think it's a tremendous thing that the field is being named after him. I'm going to be very proud to go to work every day on a field named after Ray Tanner, my friend and a person that I respect a lot. And I know I've seen him throw a lot of batting practice pitches in his day, so I don't think he's going to have much trouble throwing a strike at the first pitch. He doesn't need my coaching, but I'm real excited for him and his family, and it's going to be a wonderful day for South Carolina, Gamecock Nation. But we got one game to worry about before we worry about Ray Tanner's day, you know, so we got to get off to a good start on Friday.
It's a good answer by Coach Maneri right there. Basically, so yeah, we'll do what we need to do for Ray Tanner. We got one game, which is tomorrow, season opener, 4:00 tomorrow over there at Founders Park. I like that. He said, yeah, we got one game we got to focus on first to make sure we get ready for Sacred Heart and for honoring Ray Tanner. By the way, weekend rotation, we've mentioned this. Dylan Eskew slated to start tomorrow afternoon. Matthew Becker on Saturday and Jake McCoy on Sunday. We already knew that, but yesterday, South Carolina Baseball's Twitter account at Gamecock Baseball putting that up. Also, just a reminder as it pertains to Ray Tanner on Saturday, Founders Park will be, of course, the place to be as they dedicate Ray Tanner Field. The gates will open at 12:30. This is Saturday, 12:30. It says be in your seat by 1:30 for the on-field ceremony. And Jen, and I want to do this with Preston because I feel like the three of us had a good discussion. What would you rather have, a commemorative card or your face on a koozie? Commemorative baseball card or your face on a koozie?
I don't think I want my face on a koozie because everybody's putting it in their pocket or they're holding it.
That's the thing. If they're holding it, if you got your beverage, your soda in there, everybody sees it.
I don't know that I like my face that much to put it on a koozie, but I kind of like the card idea, but I don't know.
We will ask Monty Lee this when he comes on. For those wondering, first 5,000 fans to the stadium get a Ray Tanner koozie with his face on it. Trading cards of Ray Tanner holding up a national championship trophy to the first 2,500 fans.
Those are really cool, though. I mean, that makes you want to get there and go.
So,
be there.
We'll plan on it. Coming up next, we'll talk a lot of baseball. Monty Lee, South Carolina assistant baseball coach, set to join us. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It is the early game. One day away from Valentine's Day. That means one more day for you to take advantage of Zerez's Valentine's Day sale. That's right. You want to clean home this month. You might even want to clean home on Valentine's Day. And for you to do that, it's time to call Zerez with their patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to keep the carpets, the rugs, the tile, the upholstery all insanely clean. And because of the way they use that ZR water, they'll do it without leaving behind harsh chemicals. Your pets, your children, you can feel comfortable with them rolling around on the floor. So call Zerez today and line up your Valentine's Day sale. When you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, you'll get 2 rooms for free when you book 2 rooms of cleaning for only $119. So give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or schedule online, ZerezColumbia.com. Zerez, spell it backwards or forwards, it's the right way to clean.
Quite a mess out there, and if you're driving in it, you're like, yeah, duh. It is. We have some heavy rain right now for sure. A lot of accidents. We have stopped traffic on I-26 eastbound between the Valentine exit 101 and 107B. Stopped traffic on I-26 eastbound. Traffic lights are malfunctioning on Columbia Avenue in Lexington. Some of the power has been restored, so it's stretching more from the McDonald's area to closer to the old middle school. So getting some of that cleared up as time goes on. So appreciate the workmen out there dealing with all of this. Highway 1 at North Grampian Hills Road, I-20 eastbound at exit 39, I-26 eastbound at I-20, I-26 westbound there at the Ballantyne exit, I-77 southbound at Percival, Mineral Springs at Laurel. The list goes on.
Eight zero 6100 As we roll along, we are efforting to get Coach Lee on here in just a few minutes. May have to hit a quick break, and as we continue to work through things this morning, be safe out there. As you just heard Jen saying, it's crazy out there. It is very wet here in the Midlands. Not sure how it is in Florence or Myrtle Beach, but be safe driving around this morning as we get you up and get you going and get you through the final hour here of the early game. Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne off to Spartanburg. He'll be back in tomorrow. And again, tomorrow, we will have a busy day. We will have Kip Balknight joining us. We'll have Joey Pancake joining us. Chris Deering, as always, will join us. But we'll get you ready for opening day, and we will hear from Kip Balknight tomorrow, and we will hear from Joey Pancake. Joey Pancake playing for Ray Tanner as well, and some of the relationship that they have. So we will get into a lot of that tomorrow, and we'll have a fun day opening day, getting ready and getting excited for that. So we will do all of that tomorrow and have you ready for opening day. Is the rain expected to clear out? Again, I just mentioned it. Reminder, tomorrow we will have our Schroeder's Towing Roadshow live at Village Idiot, and we will get to that. I tell you what, Jen, let's do this. Let's do this real quick. All right, we're going to get Coach Lee on here in just a second. Let's go ahead and let's hit our break right now, and then we will extend that. I know it sounds – you want to go ahead and give him a shot? Go ahead, give him a call right now. Okay. All right. Live radio at its absolute finest as we effort to get Coach Lee on this morning. 803-404-6100 if you hear anything that you want to text in on. Reminder also, we've got Josh Harris coming up for our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge this morning at 8:30, and we'll get you ready for Daytona, where I know our good friends Tracy and Laurel Corley are on the way down to Daytona already and getting set for that. So again, a lot to do here as we get you set and get you ready, and we are joined now by the one and only Coach Monty Lee, associate head coach, hitting coach. And Coach, I bring you in with this question. Got to ask this right off the bat. What would you prefer? You have a great career. You've had a great career so far, but you have a great career like Ray Tanner. Do you want your face on a koozie, or would you rather have a commemorative baseball card in your honor? Which is the best honor to honor you one day?
That is a great question, and that's a tough question. I've never really given that one any thought, but I think I would go with the card just because, look, I grew up on baseball cards. There's nothing I enjoyed more as a kid than collecting baseball cards of my favorite players. So I think I'd rather go with the card than I would the koozie. But that's a good question.
My initial reaction was card, and I've for some reason gone down a path this week on baseball cards. We don't have time, and it's not what I brought you on was to discuss the baseball card situation. But I discovered a Ken Griffey Jr. that may have an error on it, and when I looked on eBay, it's like $3,500, but it might only be worth 50 cents. You know how it is with baseball cards, so I went down a path. But I thought about the baseball card, but then I thought koozie, you might be seen more. That koozie, the people aren't going to take baseball cards out to a football tailgate or to a baseball tailgate. That koozie will be there. People still see your face at tailgates and at parties and everywhere.
Yeah, I guess so. I've never really thought about having my face on a koozie, or, I grew up, in the Ken Griffey, Chipper Jones era, and love Ken Griffey, but I think I'd rather have Ken Griffey's card than Ken Griffey's face on a koozie. So I think I'll stick with my original answer and go with the card.
I'll be honest with you. We hope to have you on a lot more as we move through the season. These are the kind of questions you would normally get from the early game. We're not a very serious program. We're not here to hold your feet to the fire on baseball-related things, more of the off-topic things. But I do want to get into a lot with you this morning. I know you're excited. What are your emotions for opening day now as a coach? And this one, a little bit special, different coach, new year, new excitement. But how will tonight go? The night before, especially with Valentine's tomorrow and your awesome family. But how will tonight go for you, getting excited for tomorrow at 4 o'clock?
Well, tonight is. I hope that tonight will be just as normal as possible, for someone like me. I mean, look, we know that opening day is tomorrow, and there's always that energy and excitement for opening day. But I will tell you this, one of the things that I've tried to do, because I will say this, opening day for a baseball coach and for a baseball player and team, it's a little different, right? I mean, there's somebody else in the other dugout. We've been inter-squatting against each other. There's, hasn't been a big crowd in the stands. So it's just completely different for coaches and for players. So it takes a little bit of time to get into the flow of the game. When you haven't done that, the excitement and the adrenaline's in the ballpark and running through the players. And so for me, I try to just be as normal as possible. And I try not to make any day more special than others. I know that sounds crazy, but to me, every day is important when you're a coach. And it's important today that we try to prepare our guys for tomorrow. So I try not to put a ton of stock in opening day in terms of the jitters and all that. I just try to run my normal routine, normal work routine, normal morning routine, and just play the game, because I just accept the fact that it's going to be a little bit different when you look over there and there's somebody else in the other dugout, and there's 8,000 plus people in the stands watching your team play. So I try not to get too ramped up about it, but I am excited, and I think the players are excited to be playing somebody else, because we've been beating up on each other for a long time.
Let's get a little bit too technical here for just a minute. These are not questions that we would typically ask, but for you, the hitting coach, how much does your approach change from one year to the next with what you had to work with last year compared to what you were working with this year?
Well, I think that you always have a foundation of what you believe in as a coach, and what are the things that are super important to you as a coach when it comes to scoring runs. And at the end of the day, that's my job. My job is to put our players in a position to score runs, whether that's via power, situational hitting, short game, base running, base stealing. It's really about looking at the player individually and then the group collectively, and trying to figure out how can I best coach this group of players to help us maximize our ability to score runs. So I do have foundational beliefs that I believe in that are tried and true, that I've seen for 25 years of coaching now. But I also take an individualistic approach to what does this team need, and what are some things. I always take time to reflect upon last year and look at, okay, what are some areas with the returning guys that we have from last year's team that we can improve on as an offense to make us more efficient and give us the best chance to score as many runs as we can.
The run in the SEC tournament from Cole Messina last year, do you have anything like that you've ever seen from a player that just gets that hot and is seeing the ball that well?
Look, yes, I have. That was a special run. That may be the best SEC tournament in the history of SEC tournaments. I think it was an SEC tournament record for RBIs, I think. And you know who you see it with? You see it with the superstars. You see it with those guys that are just on another level. And been fortunate over the years to be in the same dugout with guys that are on another level as players. And so you do see it from time to time. You're going to see it from those All-American, All-SEC caliber talented players, where when they're dialed in and the ball's looking like a volleyball, they're going to do a lot of damage and drive in a lot of runs and do some spectacular things. So I have seen it. It doesn't come along every year, but that run was about as impressive a run for 1 week as you're going to see out of a baseball player. There's no question about that.
Gamecock Associate Head Coach and hitting coach Monty Lee joining us this morning here. How do you replace – I'm not going to ask about how you replace his bat in the lineup, but how do you replace his emotional presence, his leadership with this team?
Well, that's a great question. I think that, look, leadership comes from having stripes on your sleeves, right? The guys that have been in the program, that have been there and done that, have been through the ups and the downs and have stripes on their sleeves, so to speak. That's a term that Coach Tanner used to use all the time. You got to have the leadership from the veteran players. And, the guys like Kennedy Jones, who's in his second year in the program but is an older player, guys like Blake Jackson, guys like Ethan Petrie. Look, everybody talks about Ethan Petrie. I don't know if a young man could have assumed a better role from a leadership standpoint or stepped up in the leadership department more than Ethan. Ethan has been phenomenal and just so selfless and is just all about the team. Talmadge LeCroy, Talmadge is going to get an opportunity to catch, which, we believe is his more natural position. And look, anytime you move behind the plate, you have to assume some leadership role there, because you're the one player that ties the pitching staff and the offense together. So Talmadge is going to have to assume some leadership and you can see the selflessness come out of Talmadge. He's a senior now. He's been through the ups and downs and all the battles and faced a ton of adversity and had some success. And I'll tell you this about Talmadge LeCroy. Talmadge LeCroy led us in hitting in the fall and the preseason in intersquads. Over the course of all those intersquads, he was the most productive hitter out of our whole group. So we expect a big year out of Talmadge. But, can you replace a Cole Messina? No. Look, it's really, really difficult to replace the level of leadership, but also the level of production that you get out of Cole. What you hope happens is that 2 or 3 guys can replace that production collectively together. It's really more about the sum of the parts than it is one particular player, because you just can't replace a superstar caliber player like a Cole Messina year in and year out.
About 2 minutes left here with Associate Head Coach Monty Lee as he gets fired up for tomorrow and opening day. Before I let you, let me ask, we will honor that y'all will honor the field on Saturday for Ray Tanner. If you don't mind, compare and contrast. You worked with Ray Tanner, and now you worked with Paul Maneri. And from the outside, from my perspective, the outside looking in, they seem very similar in demeanor, off the field, on the field. Can you kind of compare and contrast what you've seen with working with both of them in your career and how they influence their teams and their coaches?
Well, Coach Maneri's from South Florida and Coach Tanner's from Eastern North Carolina. That's really about the only difference that I can tell between the two guys.
It's a big difference, though. That's a big difference, we should say.
That's about the only difference. Look, they both believe in fundamentals. They both believe in playing with great energy and having great attitudes at the ballpark. They don't accept anything but your best. I think that's the thing that just having Coach Maneri, coming to the program, it gives me an opportunity to reflect on how special it was to work with Coach Tanner. But Coach Tanner and Coach Maneri are exactly the same when it comes to that. They expect your absolute best every single day on every single rep of practice. They don't let you get away with nothing. So I think they hold you accountable in all phases of the game. They hold you accountable academically and off the field about being a good citizen. Those are just those traditional values that you don't always see, sometimes in this day and age in coaching. But I love what Coach Maneri has brought to the program from a value standpoint and a work ethic standpoint. And it's very, very similar to what I experienced working for Ray Tanner.
Coach, I know you got a lot to do. Being part of this radio show was at the very bottom of that, but we do appreciate you taking time out this morning to join us, give us a little of a preview, some great answers there, I think, on leadership with Ethan Petrie, Kennedy Jones, Talmadge LeCroy. We look forward to watching you, and we will be calling on you again for some of our more stupid questions. Consider this the very formal interview to make sure you were qualified to come on our program.
That sounds good. Well, thank you so much for having me on this morning.
Yeah, we are not Jamie Bradford. Jamie's very straight, wants to ask the very hard questions of you. We ask about bacon and donuts and movies and other stuff, but we appreciate it, buddy. Best of luck to you this year, and again, we look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Take care. Gamecock Baseball Associate Head Coach Monty Lee there, and we look forward to catching up with him. He's got a long tenure with South Carolina. I don't think people realize just what he's done at this university, coaching with Ray Tanner and now back, and obviously working now with Paul Maneri. Has been around the last few years, and look forward to that getting going tomorrow. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll talk a little baseball, let you listen to a little bit more from Paul Maneri, get you set for that. And then we've got the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge opening picks. I'm excited. New year, new contest. I'm ready to get it going. I know
I already have Reggie's pick, so.
Good. We're ready to go. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years they've been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. So on a day like today, where it is raining like crazy here in the Midlands, and maybe it's raining like that in Florence and Myrtle Beach, Aiken, Augusta, Charleston, Greenville, maybe you're having these heavy rains and you're worried about discovering a leak. Well, you need to go ahead and call ahead of time. Call Mid-State Roofing, whether it's your home or your business. Their goal is to keep your operation dry and running long into the future. And they do that by designing and installing bonded systems with a protective guarantee. So go ahead, make that phone call. 803-356-1919. Again, 803-356-1919. At Mid-State Roofing, they're ready to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You give them a phone call, you're going to speak with an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee. Leaks are going to happen at any time. You need to be ready for them. So call Mid-State Roofing today, 803-356-1919. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
And out there, man, it's just a mess. So many accidents. 378 at I-77, St. Andrews at Broad River Road, Mineral Springs at Laurel, also I-20 eastbound on the ramp to I-77, Highway 1 at North Grampian Hills Road. Still have traffic lights malfunctioning there on like Columbia Avenue, kind of Augusta Highway area in that stretch where some of the fast food things are up to where the old middle school is. But that is improving, and it looks like those are getting fixed as we go along. Left lane is blocked, I-77 northbound at Killian. This rain should be out of here by about lunchtime, so that's good news, but it's going to be some heavy rain till we get to that point.
Thank you again to Associate Head Coach Monty Lee with the University of South Carolina, and he'll have a group. You heard him kind of mention it there. He mentioned a couple different guys. Talmadge LaCroix is a guy who has been very good in the fall and in the spring. Of course, we are all expecting big things from Ethan Petrie this year. It'll be fun to see freshman KJ Scobie and his development. Nathan Hall in center field is a guy that Jamie Bradford was exceptionally excited about the other day. And Jamie's had a lot of great baseball coverage this weekend. Make sure you check out Jamie and what he's doing. We always appreciate Jamie Bradford for joining us on Mondays and offering his knowledge of everything, but baseball is certainly something that's near and dear to his heart. And Jamie mentioning on Monday when he joined us about Nathan Hall and a guy to really keep an eye on. This South Carolina lineup, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a baseball guru. I rely on guys like Jamie. I know that as the year goes along, maybe we can get some of the guys from D1 Baseball, Eric Sorensen being one of those guys, to join us and give us a better big picture view of what's going on across the country with college baseball. But this team last year, this baseball program last year, 37-25, 13-17 in the SEC. And I know a lot of you baseball aficionados, people that really follow it, our good buddy, our great listener, Jan Bennett, who weighs in from time to time. I know he'll be out there bright and early in the morning, ready to tailgate, probably the start of our show at 6 a.m. But I know a lot of y'all looked at last year's team and thought, boy, a pitch here, a play there, a swing here, and that team maybe is closer to 40 and 22 and 16 and 17 and 13 in conference, or 15 and 15, something of that nature. And maybe they're hosting a regional and they're not on the road in Raleigh. And I know you lose Cole Messina, you lose some guys, but you like what you got coming back with the pitching staff, Terry Rooney taking over there. You like having continuity for what Coach Lee did. I don't think that Monty Lee gets credit enough for what he did and how he kept the program. Jamie Bradford and I have talked about this, for what he did to keep this program together, especially in this day and age with the transfer portal and NIL and all the things, is South Carolina transitioned from the previous regime to the Paul Maneri era. I don't know if Monty Lee, because Monty Lee stepped in and ran this thing like it was his complete own and did a great job of it. And so certainly he is a huge piece of the University of South Carolina, a huge piece of that baseball program. And when you look at this program as a whole, the pieces that he was able to keep here, it's just hard for me to believe, along with Paul Maneri, that this team is the 14th best team in the 16-team league. However, I do grasp and do understand that the SEC in baseball is a bear. It's a monster. It is a week in, week out. You get the absolute best of the best, and you look at what what the SEC has been able to do when they get to the College World Series. Extremely impressive. So excited to see them up and going tomorrow. Speaking of that roster, let's go back to Monday when Paul Mainieri joined Jay and Elijah on the postgame show. And here's what he said about assessing the starters for his ball club.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of guys, and I don't even feel like we just have 9 starting players. I feel like we're closer to like 13 guys that I could feel would be starting players for us. And, because some guys are going to get hurt, some guys are going to need a day off, some guys may not perform at the level that you hope. So you don't want to have people that you're just throwing in there cold that, you don't know what you're going to get out of them. So if I have 13 or so position players that I can really be counting on, and then with the pitching staff, that's where it's really fluid. And I think 3 guys have emerged to be starting pitchers for us. Dylan Eskew, who was a starter last year and has pitched really well. His last scrimmage outing last weekend, he threw 5 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts and looked really tremendous. Hopefully he can mimic that performance next Friday, this coming Friday. Matthew Becker also threw 5 shutout innings. In fact, his 5 innings were no-hit innings, and he looked really good. So that was exciting for us. And then Jake McCoy, he was pretty much competing with Eli Jersenbeck for the Sunday start for this opening weekend, and he just rose to the occasion, and he threw 4 1/3 shutout innings against our number 1 lineup. And, we only took him out after 4 1/3 because of a pitch count. But he's earned the start for the Sunday game. So I think those 3 guys have emerged on the mound and as for starting pitching roles, at least through the first weekend. And then there were, several other guys have really come on, out of the bullpen for us. So I like the depth of our staff, and like I said, I like the depth of our position players. So it's hard for me to start naming, a bunch of guys because I'm sure I'm going to forget someone.
You hear Paul Mainieri. To me, I know it's fresh, it's new, he's back in the dugout, but you hear excitement. I hear excitement from Coach Lee as well earlier with that interview, and I hear excitement, or at least I see excitement from the fan base as well, which is fun. And we'll see what they do. 3-game set this weekend against Sacred Heart. Again, we will have our Schroeder's Towing Road Show tomorrow. You can come out if you're down there around the ballpark. Village Idiot on Whaley Street, not too far from Founders Park. You can walk over there, grab a slice of pie, maybe get the asparagus pie. A little baseball opening day for you from 12 to 3:45 as we have our Schroeder's Towing Road Show with Terry. Terry won't be there tomorrow, with Jay and Elijah and Tyler Head. So we've got a lot going on over there, and look forward to a lot of fun with that, and certainly coming back on Monday and Tuesday and analyzing what we saw and the excitement for baseball season as we get the Paul Mainieri era officially up and running. 803-404-6100. Send us your Corley Pool Solutions picks. Who you got for Daytona this week? It gets going, and we get officially going. The trophy, Jen, is in the hands of Reggie Anderson. We've got to fight and get it back. It's almost got to be a team effort to get it back this year.
He's been pretty dominant, so I think it's time.
He is a true dynasty, and we will start it all coming up next with Josh Harris, Darlington Raceway president, as we get our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge underway. You're listening to The Early Game. Bill Gunner for the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, with First Palmetto Bank. And as we are officially into 2025, it's here, it's upon us, and we're almost in the middle of February right now. You might be thinking about certain things, looking around your home, thinking about refinancing, keeping your eye on interest rates. You might be thinking about moving. Well, if you're thinking about moving into Richland County, Blythewood, Northeast, Southeast, or the I-20 corridor, boy, do you need to call Jacob Crowder today. He's the mortgage guru for a reason. It's things like this, the community reinvestment product, where right now Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank are offering you a 4.99% interest with a 5.075 APR on a 30-year fixed mortgage. They're underserving those areas, and they want to help you do that. So you can get 100% purchase loans at 4.99% on a 30-year fixed mortgage. For more information, call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005.
Sloppy conditions out there this morning. This weather is supposed to be clearing out, but we're going to be dealing with it maybe for another couple hours. So keep that in mind. 378 at I-77, St. Andrews Road at Broad River Road, Mineral Springs at Laurel, I-26 eastbound at Piney Grove, I-20 eastbound at I-77, Highway 302 at I-26, left lane blocked I-77 northbound at Killian, and Highway 1 at North Grampian Hills Road, still trying to get that area cleared up. We are going for a high today of 68. The heavy rain, some thunderstorms still could be rolling through yet this morning, but clearing out by lunchtime. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, 55. Should be good for first pitch and most likely okay. Morning showers on Saturday, but should get the game in on Saturday.
This is normally the part starting next week where we play the audio from the previous week's winner. 2 weeks ago, it was Chase Elliott taking home the Bowman Gray Clash. That was really cool. But now we are up and official. The Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge, where I know, to be factual, Tracy and Laurel Corley, Jim and Susan Thompson, they've all piled into the car, and they are heading down to Daytona right now. On the way, and much like that great group of people, Jen, Josh, it's time for us to pile in the car together for our ride through the NASCAR season. Josh Harris, your vacation over. Time to go to work. And then you got to join us each and every Thursday. Good luck with that.
I'm pretty sure that he's been working for quite a long time.
He's had a
vacation's been over for a while. So.
Yes.
But, it's race season is here, and it's great to be in Daytona. You just feel the energy and the vibe and the air around town. There's tons of people down here, and got started with qualifying last night. We'll have the duels tonight and kick off 4 days in a row of great racing.
Real quick, because you're down there, we're here. It's awful here. It's raining. I just watched a car go by and a big wave of water wash up on our window. How's the weather down there for qualifying and for the race on Sunday? Are we expecting any problems? Jen, do you know? Josh, do you know?
I just asked Josh if he's kind of been privy to any of those things, because my understanding is the things might be questionable on Sunday. Or are we good to go?
I've been down here plenty of time over the past 7-8 years, and you never know. Like the weather here changes so frequently that, right now it's a little overcast this morning, but it feels great. Weather on Sunday, they've talked about potential, a little bit of rain. But again, the way it comes in here, it's not like we're looking at one big storm system. These things come in at different times, and they'll break up as they get closer to the ocean. So I don't think it's anything that the team here isn't prepared for and used to dealing with. And I know that come Sunday, the gates are going to open early. There's a whole day planned of great activity for the fans to come out. So no worries on my end. We're just going to keep charging forward with a positive attitude about it, and get ready to run the Daytona 500 at 2:30.
Well, we have our official person on the pole. First time a Toyota has ever gotten a pole for the Daytona 500. So, maybe that's a preview of things to come?
Maybe so. Chase Briscoe, our Southern 500 champion from this past year. So great to see him get off to a strong start with Joe Gibbs in the 19 car. I think he surprised everybody last night with that pole run. So I'm excited to see what he can do in that car with that team. He's stepping into a very good ride that Martin Truex Jr. Stepped out of last year, and then now Martin's back again. His retirement didn't seem to last very long, so we'll have him and Jimmy Johnson in the field on Sunday, which is great, and then we'll set those final 2 spots tonight in the dual races.
It is very fun to see some of the veterans that are trying to at least come back a little bit. Jimmy Johnson making a run for it. You have Martin Truex Jr. also trying to. I don't know how long you've been down there, but what are the thoughts as far as Elio Castroneves, of course, known for being, IndyCar driver and multi-disciplines. What are your thoughts on him trying? I mean, we know he will get in one way or the other. He'll, depending on how he qualifies, he could be the 41st car, or he could be the 40th car, or wherever he qualifies. But what are the thoughts on him being there? Like, are people embracing that, or they think, oh my gosh, why is this open wheel guy here?
No, he's certainly being embraced by the whole NASCAR community, and media day for the Daytona 500 was yesterday, which garnered a lot of attention. So it's great for the sport to have someone of his caliber to come in and want to give a shot at running the Daytona 500. You think about over the years, especially guys like AJ Foyt that ran Daytona 500 and Indy 500, and there's countless others that did the same. So I think this is a cool way to bridge that gap with having a predominantly open wheel guy come and run stock car. Kyle Larson the last couple of years, Jimmy Johnson stepped between two. So I think it's cool to see, and he's being embraced. And I know that team feels secure, obviously, with the provisional, but I know they probably want to race their way in tonight versus taking that provisional spot.
kind of on the heels of that, give us, Jen and Josh, some maybe under-the-radar drivers that could explode onto the scene this year. You guys just mentioned it. I know Truex Jr. is back. Jimmy Johnson is an older name. So we've got some of the older drivers in there. But give us one or two, and Josh, I'll start with you, of young drivers that maybe we are not aware of, that this is the year they jump up and maybe catch our attention.
Yeah, one that comes to mind, I think there's two. One, I'm curious really to see how Josh Berry does with the Wood brothers stepping into the 21 car. So he's one I'm keeping an eye on. But also Todd Gilliland is another one that, third season full-time again, back in the Cup Series. Front row, has made some strides over the years. He's been running pretty consistent towards the end of last year. So I think he's one I just over the course of the season, I'm curious to see how Todd does.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Josh Berry, I'm very interested in seeing how he does, because I think with everything with us at Stewart-Haas, maybe as they were closing up shop, maybe he wasn't getting quite as much love and attention. But I'm kind of curious about Zane Smith. He struggled last season, but now he's with a new team. And he actually initially, I think, had some decent speed last night or whatever. And I'm just mildly curious as to maybe he's going to end up doing. But it will be very interesting as the drivers, like Chase Briscoe, who splintered off and went as Stewart-Haas closed their doors. How are these guys going to perform in new rides and teams that maybe are, looking to the forward where Stewart-Haas maybe wasn't as much?
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought. So,
well, let me ask you too about this, and I apologize if you just mentioned this guy. Now, if I've read correctly, and this is why I do, because kind of like with us around here with football or baseball, basketball, we look at the next young talent, the next guy coming up. Cooper Flagg for Duke in football, Lenore Sellers here at South Carolina Cooper Flagg for basketball, Lenore Sellers. A young man I was reading about, but if my understanding is correct, Corey Day is not participating. Are we familiar with Corey Day? He is not participating on the NASCAR circuit just yet. We'll run the truck circuit, the Xfinity circuit, and some ARCA races as well. But this guy is being compared. He's 19 years old. He's being compared to Kyle Larson, and he's got a great article up on him. Talks about how the comparisons aren't pressure for him yet. But I read about this guy. Are we familiar with Corey Day just yet? Should I be starting to circle him as the next great thing in NASCAR?
He might be your next driver to latch onto if Denny decides to step away in the next couple of years. So keep an eye on him. I think he's certainly got a bright future. Another one that is coming up that I think has a really bright future is Connor Zillich, running for Junior Motorsports this year. He ran the 24 Hours of Daytona here a couple of weeks ago. He ran it last year as well and won it, and pretty much everything he stepped in. He's done well, so he's another one to keep an eye on. He
actually was on my little list of just young up-and-comers. Corey Helm, I believe, also another was one of the three drivers that I read articles about that are kind of young guys that could step into that next role. You spoke of Denny Hamlin, and you know what that means?
Time to make some picks.
Time to make some picks. Thank you to Corley Pool Solutions. Another year of sponsoring our Corley Pool Solutions and NASCAR segment here. Corley Pool Solutions believes in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. If you're around the Lake Murray area on into Columbia, go ahead, give them a call and line up your summer maintenance, 803-445-8109. Thank you to Tracy and Laurel again for what they've done. All right. Based on last year's standings, I get the first pick because I stunk the most last year. Last place finish. Awful. You already know who I'm taking. It worked towards the end of the year. Give me the three-time Great American Race Driver winner. Yeah, you guys know who it is. Denny Hamlin. We're gonna just start the year. We're gonna make it. We're gonna start the year with Denny Hamlin. I got my original, Josh. I got my original victory in this competition with Denny Hamlin in NASCAR at Daytona, and I will admit that win was actually because I looked at the odds, and I was looking at the wrong article from a year previous.
Oh, there you go. Way to be organized.
So anyway, I'm taking Denny Hamlin. All right, that is me. Josh, you finished just above me last year, fourth place, 113 points. You have got the second pick this week.
All right. Well, I think I may have picked him last year, but I'm going to go again with Brad Keselowski, our spring race winner, Goodyear 400 winner from Darlington. I think he's going to step up there and regain that prowess on speedways and take it home on Sunday.
Okay, Keselowski for Mr. Harris here. Jen, you finished third last year, 5 points behind Preston. Who do you have?
It seems like the ones that you expect to win don't, because super speedways are so unpredictable. But I'm going to go with Chase Elliott. I'm going to say that he wins back-to-back to start the season.
Probably another good call. All right, did Preston leave us a pick?
He did not.
Okay, so Preston will now be picking
Danica
last.
Patrick it is.
What did I call him? Sterling Martin?
Sterling Martin, yeah. You've had a lot of names, yeah.
That leaves us with Reggie, our three-time defending champion.
He's going Stenhouse Jr.
Of course he is. Why not?
He gets dumped. That's where he usually wins, is on a super speedway. So
good point.
We'll see.
Josh, we always appreciate it and look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, we'll talk to you next week.
Take care.
Thanks, Josh.
A lot of fun. Excited to be back. We'll wrap up the program when we return. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for John Ecton and the Ecton Law Firm. Have you received a mean, nasty, angry letter from the IRS? Are you stressed out now? Is it bothering you? Are you worried about your future and what the issue with your taxes could cause, whether it's your personal or your business? I bet you are. But if you are, it's time to call John Ecton and his team. They have helped thousands of families across this state, Columbia, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Aiken, Augusta, Charleston, Greenville, get out of the tax mess that they created. But it all starts with a free consultation. Call the Ecton Law Firm today. 803-771-9800. Whether it's your business or your personal taxes, you need to call John Ecton. But the time is limited. You've got to do this. It is of importance. Call today for your free consultation. 803-771-9800. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. That's the Ecton Law Firm, ready to help you with tax solutions. 803-771-9800. A big thank you to everybody who's been a part of the program, whether you've texted in, called in this morning, or big thank you to Aaron Lucas for joining us on short notice to talk a little basketball from not just last night, but from the season as a whole. Big thank you to Associate Head Coach Monty Lee to give us a little update. Good talking with you, hearing some stuff about Ray Tanner, and you heard the similarities by Paul Mainieri to Ray Tanner as we get set to honor Ray Tanner on Saturday with Ray Tanner Field. And again, as always, thank you to Josh Harris for joining us for our quarterly Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge as we get 2025 off and running. It's going to be a fun season. We always enjoy doing this. We look forward to being down in Darlington with Josh and the family coming up on, I believe it's April 3rd or April 4th, whichever that day, whatever Friday that day is. I believe it is April. Actually, it might be April 4th. Great, doing math on live radio. That's awful. April 4th, I believe, is when it is. So we will be down in Darlington and getting you ready. And look, Daytona is an absolute blast, Jen. It's another sign that the spring is here. Hopefully the weather a little bit better this weekend, and hopefully we get the race in with zero problems. 2:30 on Sunday on Fox, but should be a lot of fun. Jen has Chase Elliott coming off of his Bowman Gray victory. Josh takes Brad Keselowski. Reggie goes with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and I take Denny Hamlin, and we'll get Preston's pick tomorrow morning when he's in studio.
Yep. Either that or we're going to stick him with somebody else that he does not want.
Right. We'll find the bottom of the poll and see who to stick him with. So, but again, a lot of fun. 803-404-6100. Yesterday morning, I created a poll question. It was about baseball. What are your expectations for South Carolina baseball in 2025 and Paul Mainieri's opening season? I've got the results. They're in. They just wrapped up. But I tell you what, let's hear Aaron Fitt very quickly. This is from he joined Jay and Elijah on Tuesday talking about his expectations. Let's hear Aaron Fitt and what he says, and then I'll give you the poll results and we'll compare and contrast. Here is Aaron Fitt from Tuesday on the postgame show. No Aaron Fitt? Nope. It's from Wednesday. It's on yesterday's sheet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I'm still trying to get a feel for it, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, it feels like this team is lying in the weeds a little bit. You know, the spotlight is not going to be on them. I don't know if anybody's picking them, you know, to be certainly not a top 25 team. I don't think they've been ranked anywhere. And I don't know that people even expect them necessarily to be a regional team. And so it's not a bad place to be when you're a program that has some talent and certainly has pedigree. I mean, this team has a chance to surprise people because there are guys here. I mean, there's, you know, there's some players that have experience of winning and you know, superstar players like Ethan Petrie. I guess a superstar player, Ethan Petrie. We know how good that guy is, and you know, I don't know. It's just how good are they going to be? I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, we're not really buying in. We're, again, not picking them to be in a regional, but I'm also not going to say, they got no chance. They stink. I think they're absolutely a contender to be a regional team, but it's just the SEC. There's so many good teams in this league. You got to jump some. And so, you know, I think Paul Mainieri has been around the block a few times. He certainly has a knack for getting the most out of the players on his roster and pulling the right levers at the right time as you get into the season. I think his in-season adjustments is one of the most impressive things about him. I feel like every year, you know, at LSU, he'd come up with some guy who was like a position player only, and all of a sudden he's a key pitcher or vice versa. Some guy you never heard of who just emerges, you know, in May and is the guy for him. And so that's something to keep an eye on is which levers is he going to pull in key spots down the stretch.
That was Aaron Fitt. And Aaron Fitt didn't seem to really know what the expectations were. Yeah, it is. This is fun. This is really entertaining. This is really exciting because South Carolina 2 years ago was really good on the verge of going to the College Baseball World Series. Last year, 37-25. They weren't awful. Expectations. Our poll question was up. It's actually pretty even. We had 40.5% expectations for just getting to a regional this year is acceptable. Get to a regional. Regional is acceptable. 40.9% said be super regional. They expect to get to a super regional. We will talk more about this tomorrow morning. Kip Bulknight joins us. Joey Pancake joins us. Chris Deering joins us. Y'all have a great day. Oh, and a reminder tomorrow for all of you out there, Valentine's Day, because it is the season of love. Valentine's Day tomorrow. And you know what? The great folks at Love Chevrolet, they understand that better than anybody, because for them, it truly is the season of love. Because once you visit I-26 between I-26 on Harbison, between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park in Irmo, you're going to see just why. 14 acres of brand new Chevys to choose from, and the best prices available anywhere.